Hello and welcome to the Alignment with Jen podcast. I'm your host, Jen Ditzese, and today we are going to be talking about 10 mini practices that you can use to rewire your subconscious mind throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month, so that way you can feel like your absolute best self. So Carl Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will run your life and you will call it fate. And that really is how our subconscious mind works. It is completely running the show behind the scenes. And oftentimes the areas in life where we feel the most stuck are the areas where our subconscious mind is out of alignment with what we want. If you've listened to any of my other podcast episodes, you know that I've talked a lot about the subconscious mind because I personally believe that it is essential to rewire your subconscious mind to align with the life that you want versus the life that you've been living. Because a lot of the time what happens is when people feel like they are hitting a wall, maybe it's an income ceiling, maybe they're repeating the same pattern over and over and over again in their lives, maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's in career, maybe it's in their self-confidence. It is oftentimes, I would say, probably 99.9% of the times, some unconscious, subconscious program that is running. And so what we want to do is we want to rewire those programs so that way you are automatically running a success program. Successful people who are successful in each area of life, right? It could be someone with a successful relationship, someone with successful finances, a successful business. They are running different programs than people who are struggling in those areas of their life. And we know that success leaves clues. And so what we can do is we can understand what is that programming, and we can program our minds in order to align with the success programming. And that really is how manifestation works on a subconscious level, is we get our mind to be in alignment with the life that we want versus the life that we have been living. And oftentimes people might say like, I know about the subconscious mind. I've heard about the subconscious mind. But the thing is, if you are still hitting blocks, if you are still hitting these obstacles that feel difficult for you to overcome in your life, you don't know it because you're not embodying it. You're not embodying the level of change that you need to embody in order to create the life that you want. Today, what I want to do is I want to start off giving you some understanding of the subconscious mind, and then I'm going to go into these 10 practices, and many of them you can start implementing literally today to start rewiring your mind towards that success programming. So that way you automatically, without even thinking about it, are operating off of these success metrics. So the first thing to recognize and to be aware of is that your subconscious mind is running automatically in the background, and it is observing and noticing every single thing in your life. And what it is doing, it is taking in millions and millions of pieces of information every single second. And if you were consciously made aware of all of that information, your brain would explode. You would go nuts if you were aware of all of it. So your subconscious mind lovingly takes all of this information and distills it down to less than 1% of that information that you are then made aware of. So you are essentially aware of less than 1% of what is actually going on in reality. And what does it filter that information by? It filters it based off of your beliefs, your memories, your mood at the time of day, past experiences that you've had, right? Things that happened to you as a child. It is filtering this all based off of your old identity. So this is why this is the roadblock that so many people hit, because they're like, I know what I want. I know who I want to be, but it's so hard for me to get there. I keep hitting these roadblocks. I can't be consistent with what I want to be consistent with. I don't take the actions like I want to take the actions because there's this roadblock. Your mind is still filtering your reality based off of your old programming, the old version of you that created your current reality. So if you want to create a new reality, we need to update that information. I like to think of your subconscious mind as the Wizard of Oz. So in the movie The Wizard of Oz, he's like behind the curtain and he's pulling the strings and he's orchestrating everything that's happening. And most of the people are not aware of what he's doing and his power. That's how your subconscious mind is. Your subconscious mind is running every single aspect of your life without you even realizing it. And it is to such a micro level that it takes time to unlayer all of the ways that your subconscious mind can be limiting you and kind of keeping you in this glass house. So this is why you can say that you want something and not necessarily go after it, or it might be difficult for you to achieve it because maybe your actions are not producing the results that you want. Because our subconscious mind operates off of a certain set of programs and a certain set of rules. And I'm not going to get into all of these rules. That's something I go into deeper into my courses. But suffice it to say, one of the biggest rules is that your subconscious mind will always go towards what is familiar and safe. Its top priority, its biggest goal is to keep you safe. And so if what you want, it associates with a lack of safety, then it will not go towards that. And a lot of that is programmed into our nervous system based off of our past experiences. So for example, let's say that growing up, you always saw your parents fighting around money. They'd always have a conflict around money. And so you noticed that your nervous system got fearful whenever your parents would start to fight. And it was always around money. So there's now this link between lack of safety and money. This is a really common pattern I see with my clients who have a difficulty reaching that next level of their income. And what's interesting is they could be making really, really good money and they can still hit this block because it's not going to come up at the same level for every person, right? Our risk tolerance is different. Same is true for, let's say that you want to manifest a relationship, but you find that it's been really difficult for you. You're not sure why, you see patterns that you're doing in relationship, but you just can't seem to rewire them. Oftentimes because there's something underneath the surface that your subconscious mind is associating with relationship and not being safe. It could be that you saw your parents always fighting. Maybe you had experiences with an ex who made you feel terrible, who made you feel not enough, whatever that might have been. Then that is going to inform what your mind moves toward. And that's really what your subconscious mind decides, is what you move toward and what you move away from. Because we will always move towards pleasure and move away from pain. And so if we associate something we want with pleasure, it will be easy to move toward it. But if we associate it with pain, it will be difficult to move toward it. Another important rule of the subconscious mind to know for the context of this episode is that your subconscious mind was largely programmed before the age of 7. The reason for that is because before the age of 7, your brain is largely in the theta brainwave state. It's like, imagine there's just this wide open door to your subconscious mind before the age of 7 that just hasn't been closed. But you also don't have the same development of reasoning faculties. You're not using discernment to decide how you want to view reality. You're basically going off of your emotions, the emotions of what you see other people experiencing. So during that time period, your subconscious mind is developing and gaining all of this programming that is going to affect your relationships with money, with love, with career, with success, with being seen, with visibility, with your purpose for the rest of your life, unless you go in and you rewire those. And that's what we're going to talk about, those 10 practices to do. Because there's actually a ton we can do to rewire our subconscious minds. And we're literally always wiring it in some way, either wiring it for what we want or wiring it for what we don't want. And I want you to wire it for what you want. So this is the point that I really want you to understand, is that typically you are not living the life that you want. You are living the life that your subconscious mind believes is safe for you to live. So this is why when we want to make a change, right? I was talking to someone yesterday who has listened to every single one of my podcast episodes. She's done all of the small programs that I offer, and she wanted to sign up for my larger coaching program, which is multiple $1,000s. She got so much fear when she thought about signing up for it, right? Because her nervous system fears and her subconscious mind fears that larger investment, right? Even though she knows she wants it, even though she knows it would be valuable. And this is oftentimes what happens is when we get to a point, it's like a threshold moment where we're going to make a change, where something big could happen for us in our lives, that old programming is going to be extremely loud. And this is why oftentimes people will take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. So they'll stay in the same place for a year, multiple years, or a decade, because they'll make a little progress, then they'll pull back. They'll make a little progress, then they'll pull back, because they hit that threshold that doesn't feel safe any longer. But I will tell you, your ability to feel safe taking risks is going to have a direct relationship to the level of success that you achieve. There is no creation of success without expanding your ability to take risks. It just doesn't, you just can't. The two go together, because that new level of success, no matter what it is going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel like a risk on some level to your subconscious mind. So let's talk about how we can rewire it so that way you're not fighting against these old programs that have been running your mind for a very long time. The first thing I want you to know is that it is actually not very difficult to rewire the subconscious mind. It takes precision, it takes certain tools, it takes an understanding, but it's not difficult, and it doesn't have to take a really long time. But what I do know is that there's a layering that happens, because your subconscious mind is not just going to give you everything up front and be like, this is all that needs to be rewired. There's going to be layers that will be shown to you over time as you become ready to receive those layers. The first thing I want you to understand is that there's a certain language, I call it the love language of the subconscious mind, that needs to be used in order to access that deeper level of the mind. And this is certain ways that you can use this to program the mind. So the first is that your subconscious mind is more accessible during specific brainwave states. So we have the beta brainwave state, which is what we're in most of the time, or most people are in most of the time. It's that thinking, analyzing, doing brainwave state. Like when you're working, when you're exercising, you're typically in beta, right? Then we have alpha and theta. And those two are really where the subconscious mind is the most programmable, especially like that transition between alpha and theta is really, really powerful, and theta as well. And those brainwave states are what happen when you start to feel more relaxed, when your nervous system kind of downregulates. You're not so much in survival, you're more in creation. And in those brainwave states, your subconscious mind, that door opens up. And so you're able to imprint more of the things that you want to believe. Okay. But one of the challenges that I often see is that people will try to do tools that imprint into the subconscious mind without clearing out the conflicting beliefs in the subconscious. So for example, let's say that you start to use nightly subliminals to rewire your subconscious mind. If you're listening to a subliminal about being lovable, right? You want to be lovable to be in a relationship, but you on a very deep level do not believe that you're lovable, it's going to be kind of like trying to drill into cement. It's going to be very, very difficult because you have this resistant belief. So my experience with working with my clients is that when you can clear out and neutralize those deeper held beliefs first, and then you layer on the affirmations, the subliminals, the audios, the rewiring audios, they're going to be so much more effective. Okay, just as a note for you. So we have the first love language is specific brainwave states. The second is visuals, symbols, metaphors, stories. Your subconscious mind does not speak in logic and numbers like we do when we're in conversation. Your subconscious mind speaks in the same language that you experience your dreams, right? That's why you can have these strange images pop up in your dreams and you're like, that doesn't mean anything to me, because to your subconscious mind, it does. So it is very metaphorical. It is very symbolic. This is why you have to be so careful with the media you consume, right? I just saw the new Wuthering Heights movie and I was like, I wish I had not seen it, because it is not good for your subconscious mind. It's very graphic. The people are just terrible, terrible people. I didn't like any of the characters personally. Sorry if you guys liked it. I didn't like it, but it's not good for your subconscious mind. It is literally creating this film in your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind operates in stories, metaphors, visuals, emotion, and all of those are very strong in movies, in music. And so be very careful what you're consuming with your mind. Same on social media. Be careful what content you're consuming. It seems innocuous, and it's not. It's not at all. So we have visuals, then we have repetition. So this is why people will say your affirmations every day or visualize every single day, because repetition is as Jim Rohn would say, the mother of skill, because skill is built inside the subconscious. So when we really want to embody something, we need to have a repetition of it. Writing down your goals once and never looking at them again is not going to be nearly as effective as looking at them every single day, speaking them to yourself, right? Repeating them. Because the things that we repeat, our subconscious mind eventually will believe. Because all that our beliefs are and all that our subconscious blocks and limited beliefs are just thoughts that we've thought for a very, very, very long time. And so when we can replace them with these new ones through repetition, that's very powerful. Another one is emotion. So this is why when I say with the meditations that I have my clients do, I want them to evoke emotion, because without emotion, it is meaningless to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious won't tag it as important if there's no emotion associated with it. Okay. And then we have evidence and follow through. So this is your behavioral component. Your subconscious mind is always watching you. Your subconscious is obsessed with you. And so it is always looking for evidence to prove these beliefs true. So if you keep repeating to yourself, I'm so good with money, I'm such a money magnet, but then you just keep spending all of your money, there's a conflict there, right? There's not a congruency. So we want to do our best to create congruency between what we believe in our minds and what we're acting as in our reality. Or else that conflict is going to make it very difficult for us to also rewire. We can instill beliefs much more strongly when we create a lot of evidence for them. So this is why I've done a few episodes recently all about habits, because the more that we can build powerful habits, the more that our mind is going to trust us and believe us. There's actually one other love language I want to add, and that's precise language or hypnotic language. So this is language that is used in hypnosis sessions. It can also be used in media, in music, in songs. It can be used in meditations. And it's language that is phrased in a certain way in order to bypass your conscious mind and slip into your subconscious mind. And so this is really powerful, a really powerful tool that skilled practitioners can use in order to help you. There's something called the Milton language models. If you want to look at those are certain ways to use language to bypass the subconscious mind. Let's talk about the practices to rewire the subconscious. So the first step that I want you to take is getting really honest with where you are and really honest with where you want to be. Because most people are very good at making things okay and being like, okay, yeah, this is okay. I'm okay with where I'm at right now, even though it's not really where I want to be. And that's actually really detrimental because it keeps you in that same spot for a very long time, because you'll be like, well, it's okay. It's gotten a little bit better. It's okay. We can stay in okay for decades, but you have to be really honest. Are you actually where you want to be? And if not, then that should propel you. That discomfort will propel you to create where you want to be. So first identify, where are you in all of the areas of your life? Where do you actually truly want to be? Because I guarantee there's a gap. And in that gap is the rewiring work that you need to do, because you need to get your mind in alignment with the version of you that you want to be. Because right now your mind's in alignment with that version that you are. And I'm sure the version that you are is wonderful. And I know that there's more that you want. So that's the first thing. As you begin to write out what you want, you're going to notice what I call them whisper thoughts coming up. You're going to notice these thoughts of like, oh, that's not possible, or I could never do that, or yeah, right. I want you to notice all of those and write them all down, because those are all evidence and little strings that you can pull on to show you what beliefs need to be rewired, what needs to be shifted in your mind in order to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So that is the first little piece of this. So one practice that you can start literally today in order to start rewiring your mind is choose a better feeling thought. So if you've ever listened to Abraham Hicks, this is a tool that Abraham talks about a lot. And this is basically when you have a thought of, I can't do it, or this isn't possible for me, or I could never make that much money. You slowly choose thoughts that feel a little better and a little better and a little better until you allow yourself to feel better. What you are doing is you are literally subtly retraining your mind to think in a different way. Because the way that you think now is the result of all the programming that you've had. So from your parents, your teachers, TV shows that you've watched, you've just learned a way of thinking. You want to teach yourself a new way of thinking that's more in alignment with what you want. It's like they say it's delusional. It's not delusional. There's 1,000 ways to view a situation. You're choosing a new way to view that situation. So I'll give you an example of this. Let's say that you think this isn't possible for me, right? I could never start a business. Nobody in my family started a business. Okay, a better feeling thought would be, well, maybe I could be the first one, right? I've been successful in my career so far. Maybe I could just try. Maybe there's something that I could start to just try out today that I might like to do. It's okay if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? That feels a lot better than I could never do it. And what you do as you create that transition is you not only rewire your thinking patterns, but you also feel better. And when you feel better, you're more magnetic, you attract more things into your life, you're more creative, you have more access to solutions, you create a new reality for yourself in that simple process. So that's the first thing that I highly recommend practicing starting today. The second thing is modeling other people. And this is a really great way to learn how to think differently, because the thing is, right now you're thinking at the level that's creating your current reality. And if you want a new level, you have to learn to think at a new level. Thought is the basis of our entire reality. You can do this in a number of ways. You can do it right now. You're learning to think in a new way by listening to this podcast, right? So the media that you consume, books. I highly recommend reading actual physical books, not just listening to them, especially the classic books, because those are the key to understanding and learning thinking patterns of other people, especially really successful people. I will actually put a free download that you can have of a book list that I recommend of really great books that are going to teach you to think in a new way. And when you're actually reading it, your subconscious mind is absorbing all of that. It is learning those thinking patterns. It's learning how they're speaking. It's learning how they're talking to themselves. It's the most amazing way for you to model for your subconscious mind how you want to think. And as a result, how you want to be. You can do it through coaching. You can do it through conversations. I highly recommend being around other people who are actually doing what you want to do, right? People that maybe have the business you want, or the relationship you want, or the financial reality that you want, and learning how they think. One of the best investments I ever made in myself was joining Tony Robbins' Platinum Partners program, because I was around so many people from so many different industries who all thought differently than me, but they were all very successful in their respective communities. And to this day, I've learned so much, and I continue to learn so much from those people because of their thought patterns, the way they view reality. It's expanded my mind so much. So get yourself into a community like that. I recommend my community, the Infinite Experience, because this is what we're doing every single week, is we're changing our thought patterns. We're learning to think like a successful person, to rewire our subconscious mind like a successful person. So modeling is so powerful for your subconscious. Think about the ages 0 to 7. That's all you did is modeled other people. That's how you became who you were, by modeling what you saw. If you didn't see it, you couldn't model it. So that's what we want to do, is we want to learn how to model other people that have what we want. Then another thing that we want to do is we want to make what we want familiar. Because remember, our subconscious mind views something that is unfamiliar as unsafe. And so we want to make this new reality that we want to create familiar. So if it's a level of wealth, a relationship, you want to familiarize yourself with it. So this is why vision boards are super powerful, not just making them and putting them in a pile to gather dust, but making them your phone screen background, making them your computer background, looking at them every day, maybe putting a little mini version in your car, putting a mini version in your bathroom when you get ready in the morning. You want to familiarize yourself with those things. If there's a new car you want, go and practice driving it. Right? Get these things in your nervous system so your subconscious mind views them as safe. I highly recommend, if you want to create more luxury in your life, looking at luxury magazines, or maybe you want to start a podcast or gain a social media following, right? Having those things in your reality, images of those things. So that way it creates this familiarity to where it becomes like, oh, of course I created that because it was so familiar to me. The kind of relationship that you want, making that familiar through imagery, through the movies and the TV shows that you watch. Don't watch movies and TV shows about people with terrible relationships, which is what most TV shows are about. Watch them about people with really healthy, happy relationships. familiarize yourself and your subconscious mind with what you want. There's thousands of ways to do this. Just tell ChatGPT, I want to familiarize myself with XYZ. Give me 50 different ways I can do that. It's very, very simple, but so powerful, because your subconscious mind will then begin to filter your reality to bring you that thing. Your conscious mind is the goal setter. Your subconscious mind is the goal getter. It will go get any goal that it believes is familiar and safe and possible for you. So you want to make it as familiar as possible. A daily practice that I highly recommend for this familiarization is visualization, because what you're doing is when you close your eyes, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined. So when you visualize it in your mind, then, and I'll link down below a free visualization for you that you can begin with. When you visualize it in your mind and you feel that emotion and you feel into that experience, your subconscious mind thinks it's actually happening. It doesn't know that it's not. You are familiarizing yourself and you're showing your subconscious mind, this is what we're creating, this is what we're creating, this is what we're creating, and it will go get that goal. Another practice I highly recommend as well for your subconscious mind is appreciation. So I recommend each morning going on a walk. First, a walk is going to open your brain. It's going to stimulate you. It's going to release endorphins, release dopamine. It's going to make you feel really, really good. It's going to get you out of that rut if you kind of have a slow start in the morning. And when you add in appreciation, just listing things that you're so grateful for. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for my dog. Thank you for these beautiful flowers. Thank you for the new client I got yesterday. Thank you for this podcast, right? Thank you for all of these things. You are priming your subconscious mind to find more things to be grateful for. And it will start to draw those into your mind. And you will become one of those people who's just automatically happy and grateful because you're priming yourself. The things we do in the morning are the greatest things that we can do to set the foundation for our entire day. Maybe I'll do an episode on morning routines, because it really is, it can change the entire trajectory of your life having a solid morning routine. And this is one that I believe is so, so, so important. And another reason I recommend walking is because if you don't want to, like, let's say you're like, oh, it's cold outside, I can't go walking. You have to overcome yourself. And that small act of overcoming yourself in the morning sets you up so that throughout the day, it's much more easy for you to overcome yourself and do the things that you know that you want to do that align with your highest self. Oh, that was the fifth practice I had written down, was walking. So walking is such a powerful way to shift your mood, to shift your energy. Whenever I want to improve my mood, I will just go on a walk. If I'm ever feeling stuck, I will always go on a walk. I'll just drop whatever I'm doing and I'll go walk. And it always resets me. It opens my mind up to solutions. I'm so much more creative. I go back, I'm so much more focused, so much more productive. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I thought you were going to give us like EFT tapping or hypnosis, and I'll talk about those in a minute. What I want you to realize is all of these small habits compound, so that way you are constantly rewiring your mind throughout the day for what you want. And we don't oftentimes think of subconscious reprogramming as all of these micro habits, but it is, because every single thing we do is programming our subconscious mind, everything we do throughout the day. And so when you shift and intentionally choose positive behaviors, you shift yourself into alignment with that positive version of yourself. So another practice that I recommend is what I call flooding. And this is essentially flooding yourself with the type of thinking that you want to have. So if you want to be a more positive thinker, if you want to be more creative, if you want to think in a way that will expand your reality like successful people, you want to flood yourself with that information. So choosing specific books, listening to specific podcasts, having imagery in your reality. You want to basically flood your subconscious mind, because the thing is, if you don't do it, the world will do it for you through advertisements, through social media, through television, through what you hear on the radio, through conversations that you overhear at restaurants. So you want to flood yourself with what you actually want. And I recommend flooding yourself with really positive things. So I'll give you that book list. That's a great place. Listen to any of my podcast episodes. Those are all going to be great things to flood yourself with. Tony Robbins is a great resource. If you look up Jim Rohn on YouTube, he's also another great resource. Abraham Hicks is another great resource to listen to flood yourself with these positive things. Because if we just leave it up to chance, that's going to be something that you don't necessarily want it to be flooded with. And then another practice is creating evidence through your action. So when you assign and you create a new belief for yourself, like you're going to say, okay, I am a money magnet. Let's say that that's a new belief that you want to cultivate, and you do some rewiring work to create it. What I recommend is then following it up with a specific action that aligns with that. So maybe you haven't been super great at organizing your finances. So maybe with this new money magnet identity, you become more organized with your finances by spending 5 minutes a day organizing your bank accounts or your budget, whatever it might be. But align an action with your new belief in order to lock it in and create that evidence for your subconscious. Because if your subconscious is like, ooh, she now goes and organizes her finances, dang, she can handle more money. That's awesome. It amplifies those beliefs. And then there's practices. So those are kind of daily practices that I recommend. I do also recommend scripting. I like scripting when you're writing out the vision you have for your future, you're writing out your new beliefs, because the act of writing solidifies the energy and it creates this vessel for it. So it's a really, really powerful way to rewire your mind as well. Other practices that I recommend that are deeper rewiring. And these are the kinds of things that are going to clear out those deeper beliefs, those things that you don't quite see. Things I recommend are hypnosis, although be careful because I've had a lot of hypnosis sessions. Some of them were great, some of them were terrible. So you just want to make sure if you do hypnosis that it's actually effective, because a lot of it cannot be. RRT is a tool that I love that stands for rapid resolution therapy. That's something that I do with my clients and I absolutely love it. It's a really deep way to rewire the subconscious mind. EFT tapping is a really powerful way as well. And IFS, that's internal family systems. I think that's an incredible therapy that can be really, really helpful for rewiring those deeper beliefs. Those tools that I've just listed are things that I recommend for really deep rewiring. If there's something that you're like, man, I just don't know why I can't change this with all the work I've done, those are the tools I'd recommend. And I also recommend having a weekly practice where you're rewiring so that way you're clearing out more of those layers. And that's what we do in my Infinite Experience community. We use a method that I've created. It's called the Elevated Subconscious Rewiring Method, where I blend together different tools to rewire certain beliefs. And this is so powerful because every single week you're going to clear out more and you will just start to automatically manifest more things. So you will start to see your relationship with money change, your relationship with other people change, with confidence, with the things that you want, because you're clearing out those layers and that gunk that has been in there for a really, really long time. So I don't recommend to use these deeper tools unless you really, really need them. I recommend having something like a weekly practice. So that could be EFT tapping. If that's something that's helpful for you, that could be one of it. But I recommend having something on a weekly basis as well. Those are the big pieces. We have our daily practices. We have a weekly practice, ideally, and then we have tools for those deeper times when we feel like we're hitting a really, really deep roadblock and we want some more personalized support on that. So I would love to invite you into my Infinite Experience program. If you want to learn more about that and how we do that rewiring work inside that program, send me a message on Instagram that just says podcast, and I'll send you a 5-minute video about that program so you can learn a little bit more about how that works. It is amazing. It is the tools that I use on myself, that I've always used on myself, that have changed my life and my clients' lives. So I hope that you loved this episode, and I'll see you next week. Bye.